2009. But despite this, she still can't parallel park. Now, this story that's featured in the Eye has come after a recent survey by a motor servicing company found only 39% of drivers feel confident driving on the motorway. Does that resonate with you? You could have passed your test years ago, but there are still some aspects of driving, some types of roads that you feel quite nervous and quite anxious going on, or maybe when it's darkness falls as well. Well, Carmine Mastrogiacomo is an instructor and founder of Drive Therapy. They operate in Essex, and Carmine joins me now on BBC Essex. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Does this sound quite familiar then? People have, passed their test years ago, but parallel parking, driving on motorways is still something that can be quite nerve-wracking.
Absolutely. Most of my time is spent working with clients who passed their driving test many years ago and then for one reason or another struggled with a certain aspect of driving. It can be parking. Motorways is quite a common one.
I've noticed as well, this is probably showing my age a little bit, but roads are a lot busier now, aren't they? And people's patience seems to have worn a little bit thinner, shall we say. It can be quite an overwhelming experience being on the roads in 2024, can't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, obviously there's more people on the roads, there's more traffic, and people's patience tolerance seems to be a lot lower these days. And some people do get in the car, and once they're in their own cocoon of their car, they react completely differently to the way they normally would do.
So how do you sort of help people with that then, Carmine? What do you do?
Well, we spend quite a bit of time working with clients with helping them challenge the way that they think around certain aspects of driving. For some people, for example, the parking, it might be something that they always struggled with in the first place, and they need a bit more training with the technical skills of parking. But other people, for example, have fear of driving on a motorway. We spend quite a bit of time initially using some CBT interventions to help them challenge the way that they think around driving. And then we set them some specific goals to work towards, some very realistic and achievable goals for them to work towards. And we start to see their belief system start to change once they start to change the way they think and they start to expose themselves to certain situations when it comes to driving in a very strategic way. We start to see some really good results.
Because I remember, it took me 4 times to pass my driving test because I was quite nervous. I was all right on the lessons. The moment I got behind the wheel for the test, I got really nervous and probably overthought it. But some of those memories of even the driving test kind of stay with you, don't they?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I've worked with many clients who they come to me and they say, look, it took me 4 or 5 or 10 attempts to pass their driving test. And even though they pass, they start to form that self-belief that they're not very good at it. And that sticks with them for a while, or it can stick with them for a while. And what I always say to them is, look, regardless whether you pass first time or 10th time, the standard is always the same. You've met the same standard, but sometimes that can affect people's belief system when it comes to driving.
Yeah, very interesting. What made you sort of set this up in the first place then? How did it start?
Okay, so I qualified as a driving instructor about 20 years ago, but I've always had a real passion for personal development, and that's where I got trained in CBT and life coaching. And if I'm completely honest with you, I sort of fell into this because I started to combine my skill sets, and that's really how Drive Therapy came about.
And you must have, worked with all sorts of people over that span of being a driving instructor as well, and seen lots of those emotions and the anxieties for lots of different things over the years.
Absolutely. I've worked with lots of different people from different backgrounds, different age groups. And when I first got involved with this type of work, it was mainly people contacting me, asking me for refresher lessons. But it was quite clear when I got in the car with them that there wasn't much wrong with their driving. They may have been a bit rusty, a bit hesitant, but actually they were really good drivers. It was more to do with the way they were thinking and their belief system around driving.
Yeah, because it's interesting. I know, as you get older, and I know with my sort of grandparents as well, when it gets dark, again, there's this element of we don't really like driving when it's dark. Is that a thing that you sort of see quite a lot as well?
Absolutely. And I think most people, as they start to age, they do start to minimise certain types of driving, either because they don't need to do it or they don't want to do it. But especially as people get older, I think driving at night is quite a big one in regards to them not wanting to be out on the road in the evenings. So again, it's very common.
Well, thank you very much for chatting to us this morning. Really interesting stuff, Carmine. Thank you for coming on. That is Carmine Mastrogiacomo, who is an instructor, founder of Drive Therapy, which operates here in Essex. Maybe you can relate to some of the themes that Carmine and I were just chatting about in terms of you being a nervous driver. Have you struggled a little bit with anxiety when it comes to getting behind the wheel? As I say, I'm fine now, mostly because I've been driving a long time, and I started working as a reporter a long time ago. In 1999, I got my first job, and that was quite a steep learning curve because when you're a reporter, you're going out, you're on the roads, you're being sent out on stories here, there and everywhere. So you're going to towns, cities, using roads that you don't normally drive on, stuff that you're not familiar with. And I would say that probably helped me to get my confidence when it comes to driving, because it was my job. And they were like, right, you got to go here now. And then, oh, this story's broken, or you need to go and interview this person. Off you go. And that was in the days before sat-nav. That's how long ago it was. I mean, I think it was just coming in, but, you'd have to sort of look at the map and stuff like that. So it was quite a lot to get to grips with. And this is me who'd taken 4 attempts to pass my driving test, because I did get really, really nervous about the whole experience, but then got thrown into having to drive to lots of different places in, unusual circumstances. So you're having to find somewhere quite specific, and you're thinking, I've no idea, where I've got to go. Off you go. But it was that which helped with my confidence. What about you? What sort of experiences have you had around driving? Is there certain things that you have, as you've got older, decided to avoid doing wherever possible? Maybe it is motorways that you don't really like going on so much, or driving in the dark. Maybe you still have problems with your parking. You still get a little bit anxious around that. And how have you overcome it? If you want to get in touch, 0800 111 40 41. You can drop us a message as well. We're talking a little bit about anxious driving, and similar theme really relating to travel this morning, train travel here in Essex, and what is it like at the stations in terms of accessibility. So if you want to get in touch on that, we will talk about it between now and 8. Keep it going after that if you want to as well. And we're going to be talking about the Anti-Loo Roll Brigade Festival, which happened in Colchester over the weekend, right after this.